Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. I'm your host Jamie and I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. The theme of this episode is updates only. And if you haven't already, please press the subscribe button, the like button if you're on Spotify. If you could follow me and leave me a 5-star review, that would be amazing. Also, of course, as always, I want to hear all of your comments and questions and concerns. Something that I did want to take a quick little moment to say is that I'll be putting a Feeding South Florida fundraiser in the description of this video because SNAP benefits have been taken away, and I know a lot of people are struggling, and as someone that grew up on food stamps and with a lot of assistance from the government, I know that it can be an extremely hard thing. I mean, I never had to go through what is happening right now, but I can imagine how hard it could be. So I've set up a little virtual food bank fundraiser thing, and I want to try to help as much as possible. I made the goal $1,000. Obviously, if you are able to donate, that's amazing, and if you aren't, that's also okay. If you could share it somewhere or just engage with it somehow, liking, commenting, anything possible, that would be amazing, and I hope everyone is okay. But anyways, let's get into the episode. The title of the first story is My Dentist Asked Me Out. I'm Not Sure What to Do. I went to a grocery store over the weekend and saw my dentist, which was a little weird, but she recognized me and came up and said hi. We had a little chat, and it was nice because human contact is non-existent nowadays. Then she said she had to go and asked for my number. I figured she needed it for dentistry reasons, if I'm being honest, but I probably should have figured it wasn't for that. Anyway, after I got home, she started texting me just with casual stuff. Eventually, we talked about how I'd never read Harry Potter or seen the movies, and she said that we should grab some food and I'll watch them with you, followed by, if you want, about 5 minutes later. I haven't responded and it's been 30 minutes. If she wasn't my dentist, it would be an absolute yes. She's hot and she's fun to talk to. I know we share a couple of hobbies, which is always nice. But on the other hand, I'm 90% sure they aren't supposed to ask their patients out. I always thought she was being a little bit flirty sometimes, but like I said, I don't think that they're supposed to do that, so I never took it as flirting. So I guess what I'm asking here is, what the hell do I do? I don't want to cause problems with her career, but I also would really like to date her a lot. The end is so funny. But I also would really like to date her a lot. I wish I knew their ages, because for some reason the title of this was like kind of scaring me a little bit. I'm like, your dentist asked you out. I don't know why I always assume that it's just like an older person and a younger person, although that's obviously not always the case here. But hey. I don't know. I'm glad it wasn't in the office. I'm thinking that I could be wrong, but I feel like is it fine? Because it was in like a different setting and not the dentist. And it's also like the dentist. It's not like your doctor or like your gynecologist or like your therapist or something. I don't know. But someone said it's easy to find another dentist, but it's hard to find a good wife. And someone said also it's noteworthy to mention how up close she has been with him. She already has an intimate relationship with his mouth and still had the balls to ask him out at the supermarket. Bravo, madam. Someone said you effing go out with her and eventually become her trophy husband. What the F is wrong with you? Say yes. And then someone said I pretty much always follow dating advice from puts on glasses 69 sexy Sam 69. That is the username of the person that said, say yes, go out with her. Okay. Someone also commented, from the American Dental Association's Code of Ethics, it says dentists should avoid interpersonal relationships that could impair their professional judgment or risk the possibility of exploiting the confidence placed in them by a patient. She could lose her license for becoming sexually involved with an active patient. To avoid jeopardizing her license, have her write a formal letter discharging you as a patient. Then establish a dentist-patient relationship with someone else and have her send copies of your dental records to the new dentist before going further. Okay, well, that is good, actionable advice, I feel like. All right. The OP edited and said, all right, geez, I'll say yes. And then edit 2, we're going to watch Harry Potter on Friday. I just need to decide what kind of food to order. Thank you for pushing me to say yes. I honestly probably would have turned her down. Okay. I was really fully like prepared to be scared by this Reddit story and immediately be like, no, absolutely not. But it's going different than I expected. There's an update and it's 3 days later. We got together, had some food, and watched Harry Potter. That's about it, to be honest. In all seriousness, we hit it off pretty quickly. I kind of feel like we were already friends anyways. We usually talk a lot during appointments while she's getting all the tools ready and such, so I know a little bit about her already, but not being in that setting made it easier to talk to her for sure. Also, confessed to a bunch of stuff, found out she's had a crush on me since my first appointment 2 years ago, and she was trying to figure out how to ask me out for a while. Also got to hear about how she would purposely try to get a light schedule when I was coming in so she could go slower and we would have more time to talk, which I think is the cutest thing I've ever heard. A girl actually wanted to spend more time with me on purpose. Another thing, I thought there were 3 Harry Potter movies, not hundreds, but we got through 2 of them and have another date set up for tomorrow, so I'm not complaining. Also, I had to take all the tests, so in case you're interested, Ravenclaw, and I have a wood mouse patroness. She seemed happy with that. Don't know why, but she's in Ravenclaw too, so I'm sure that has something to do with it. And lastly, the entire reason that I made my last post, I talked to her about it, and I do need to get a new dentist, which kind of sucks, but it's understandable and worth it. Not like I'll be missing her or anything because I can just talk to her whenever now. Unfortunately, until all the dentist swapping is dealt with, we are just friends, but we both made it clear that we want to be something more than that when we can. This might be too much information for some of you, but if I didn't include it, someone would ask. So no, we didn't have sex and no puns about oral were made. We were making out and she stopped it, said she felt uncomfortable doing anything with someone that was still a patient, so we just cuddled up and watched the movies instead, and I drove her home afterwards. Honestly, I wouldn't have had it any other way. It was probably the best first date I've ever had.
If you want extra content weekly, head over to patreon.com/storytimesociety and become a member on there for extra content. Love you.
Okay, love that. Maybe if like once they get married and stuff, she can be his dentist again. I don't know if that's how it works, but I feel like people like dentists always are having their family as patients. But obviously they're not family. They just met, or they didn't just meet, but they just started dating. Someone said, so wholesome. I love it. Also, I hope you flossed before the date. OP said, of course. And I hid all the floss she's been giving me at appointments too, so she doesn't know that I don't use it. The top comment says, is this what it's like when you actually floss? Maybe I should try it. And then someone said, I remember my dentist's reaction when he asked me to start flossing, and I went to my follow-up. Quote, okay, now, let's see. Oh, wow, you've actually been flossing. I have to say, they don't recommend it for the fun of it. My teeth feel amazing when I do it regularly. Yeah, honestly, I've been flossing for like actually flossing every day for the past probably 5 years, I would say. I think I really started flossing. I think me and my boyfriend both started flossing like regularly when we first met. I always hear noises and it scares me. I'm like, did someone just come in my apartment? And yeah, I can't believe like now if I even go a couple days without flossing, I'm like, I'm the most disgusting person ever, because when you floss, like, okay, this might be TMI, but when you floss every day and then you don't floss for like a couple of days, you like smell it. Like you smell bad breath. Does that make sense? Like when you floss, you smell the bad breath. Like you're picking. That's disgusting, but it's true. And flossing is just like, brushing your teeth is just so not enough. It's just so not enough. And I use like the little hand flossers, and I know that that's not even like good enough. I should be using the strings, but like, guys, I, for the life of me, cannot use that shit. I cannot use it for some reason. It's so hard. And I don't understand how these dentists, first of all, though, they use like 7 feet of floss for one floss. You know what I mean? And it's like, that just seems like a lot. I don't know. The hand ones just are a lot easier. Okay, well, we love that. We love a little wholesome story to start out with. You know, we don't get those often. So let's move on to the next story and see what this one's all about. The title of this story is My Coworker Asked Me to Pose Topless for an Anatomy Book. Trigger warning, sexual harassment and fears of retaliation. I work part-time in a small sales office of about 10 people. About a month ago, one of my coworkers approached me about doing a project for his graduate program at a local university. It was for some sort of anatomy textbook or similar. It would be a photo of my breasts with my face not in the photo for the textbook. I would be compensated for the photos. There were some red flags in his proposition. The photos would be taken by him in my home, and he never presented me with official paperwork about it. I called the university, and they assured me that whatever project he was working on was not through their university, as there would have been extensive paperwork, screening, photos professionally taken, etc., which was what I figured in the first place, particularly for such a large university and for a master's program. My question is this a matter that I should bring to my boss? Is this something that she needs to know about? For sure, tell your boss, especially if you're in like a small office of 10 people. That means you're always having to see this guy, and this guy's like a creep, and that's crazy. Definitely. I mean, I don't think that she was really like considering. I hope not. If someone asks to take pictures of your boobies for an anatomy project or whatever, or textbook, never say yes. Like, never. Honestly, never. Please. I'm scared of that, genuinely. Like hey, can I come to your house, take photos of your boobs, and like leave? That doesn't sound very professional, number one. And number two, why are we doing this at my house, and why are you taking them? Like, what? Okay, 11 days later, there's an update. I have to admit that I didn't wait until I read your reply. I wrote the email to you on a note when both my boss and the coworker in question were not in the office, but my boss was in the next day, and I went in early and told her everything. The coworker in question was immediately terminated. I wrote a report for HR, so he is considered non-rehirable for any future campaigns. His desk was packed while I was writing my report to HR, and by the time I returned to the floor, someone else had even taken his desk. It was kind of emotionally taxing for me to respond to comments, so I didn't, but I did read most of them. Our office is incredibly lax compared to most people's, I would imagine, and my background is mostly in food service, so I was honestly very surprised at how many people had chimed in with, "This is incredibly inappropriate of your coworker to approach you about." I think when one is used to very inappropriate work environments, these sorts of interactions don't expressly present themselves as immediately inappropriate, if that makes sense. My last job was serving for a celebrity chef's restaurant, and one of our servers was being regularly inappropriately touched by a dishwasher. And all that got him was a stern talking to. I'm glad that your readers are in better environments, LOL. In regards to a certain comment thread, yes, I was concerned about retaliation. This coworker was not only a former Marine, but a knife fighting instructor. But as other people have commented, I think women in general are concerned about retaliation in our everyday lives, not just when someone we know is harassing us. At the end of the day, this clown couldn't even put any damn effort into making his sleazy scheme smack of the official. So I think he's not likely to put in any extra effort into tracking me down over his part-time job. But I am walking accompanied to transit every night, regardless. Thanks so much for your advice. I do really appreciate it, and I appreciate everyone's comments. I hope that anyone who reads your site knows that they should feel comfortable reporting harassment when they experience it. I'm very grateful that in this case, things were dealt with very swiftly and justly, because I know that isn't always the case. I'm so glad they took it seriously, but I'm also really confused about who she's writing to, because she's like saying like your site, like I hope whoever is writing into your site, but I don't even see. Oh, it's originally posted to ask a manager. Okay, interesting. I didn't even know that was a subreddit, or is it even a subreddit? I don't know. The top comment says she should have also notified the university ethics department. Using their name for this shady shit is a fast and easy way to get kicked out. As someone who literally just did a research project, there's a ton of paperwork and safety protocols to protect people. Thanks to the Stanford experiment. The university's internal review board does not mess around with things that can get them sued. Didn't she reach out to the university, though, and they told her, like, that is not affiliated with us? I guess it wasn't the ethics department, but And then someone said, I feel like if he really needed a photo of a woman's breasts, he would need to hire and pay a professional model and photographer. And there would be like contracts and releases that needed to be signed before he could use the image. 100%. There's a lot, definitely a lot more that goes in, like, in that than just, hey, let me come to your house, take some titty pics and then leave. Like, no. And honestly, I would, unless you're like searching out jobs like that and like you know that it's for sure legit and you're like experienced in like, I don't know if you would call that like I would guess that would be like a model job, like how like they have models and stuff for like Macy's and things like that. I would never even accept like any. I know it's so annoying though and sad because I feel like especially when someone says like, "Oh, you'll get paid," that can be like so hard, especially just like, I mean, this was in 2021, but regardless, it's just sometimes when you hear like, "Oh, I'm going to get paid for this," then you like stop thinking about anything else and ignore the red flags because you're like, okay, I'm gonna get paid for this. And then like, and you know, it can be hard to come around like extra money or like side gigs and side jobs. So I feel like this could have been a really dangerous, this could have turned out really dangerous because I don't know, it's just like sometimes you need money, and especially if this person was really broke and really needed extra money and then came about this and was like, whatever. I don't know. It's really sad, but I'm really glad that never happened. I really hope that he didn't do that to anybody else, though, because I can only imagine like the schemes that he's trying to pull. I doubt this is the first time. I doubt this is the last time. And I guarantee you he's done this like to someone, or he's like been weird to someone or done some weird stuff to someone. And I hope that he gets his karma or very much in trouble for that, because that's so scary. Imagine if she ended up saying yes and went to that, or had him come to her house, and I can't even imagine what would have happened. Like, it's so scary. And I mean, even in like Hollywood and stuff, you hear stories like about things like this. This is obviously so different and like completely different topic kind of, but you just hear really scary stuff about, what is it called, like the I don't even remember. I feel like there was some type of like scandal or some type of like sexual assault or something with like having to do with a couch. Or am I thinking of a Law and Order SVU fucking episode? Because I've watched every single episode of Law and Order SVU. But I feel like stuff like that definitely happens in Hollywood. And I mean, we even know of it with whatever his name is, Nasty, the Nickelodeon guy, Dan Schneider, and that other guy, like, what is his name? Like Harry something? Henry? Oh, Harvey Weinstein. Sorry. Can't remember his name. He's ugly as hell. Ugly, nasty, disgusting. We're going to move on to the next story. And the title is, Am I Overreacting About My Nanny Family Having Sex During the Day? Hi everyone, I'm a full-time nanny for a stay-at-home mom with an 8-month-old baby. The baby is honestly perfect, so sweet and happy, naps are great. I've been with the family for about 7 months now. The mom and dad are both amazing employers. They're super nice to me. The mom gets me Starbucks and acai bowls, even makes me lunch sometimes. I make $32 an hour with great benefits in a medium cost of living area. So overall, this is a dream job. Here's my only issue. I'm pretty sure the parents are having sex during the dad's lunch break. Maybe every day or every other day. They go to their room and I never see anything inappropriate, but sometimes I hear what I think might be the bed moving. It's not loud or anything, just enough to make me realize what's going on. Afterwards, her hair is messy, clothes changed, that kind of thing. Today I asked the mom what she was up to when she came out of the room, and she didn't really say much. I kind of jokingly said, "Oh, were you napping?" And she got a little red and awkward. That pretty much confirmed it for me. I know they're married adults and it's their house, but it still makes me feel a little uncomfortable since I'm there taking care of their baby. They're not being disrespectful or obvious, but it just feels weird. Would it be totally out of line to ask them not to do that while I'm working, or am I overreacting and should just let it go? They really are such a great family, and I don't want to make things awkward if this is just me being overly sensitive. What would you do? Huh. I understand that would make me uncomfortable too, and I would not want to, like, yeah, I wouldn't want to be there while that was happening, especially if I could hear anything like anything going on. But at the same time, if it's not like obvious that they're doing it, like you don't know if they were just, I don't know, it doesn't sound like it's that obvious. Like you said, you sometimes hear the bed moving and stuff, and then like they come out with changed clothes on. But like, what if they were just laying in bed and like having a conversation? Am I being naive? I don't know. But maybe they were just laying in bed and they're having conversation, and then like they changed their clothes or something. I don't know. But if they're not like moaning and groaning and stuff, I don't know. I don't really see anything wrong with it, to be honest with you. I get feeling uncomfortable about that, but at the same time, like, yeah, it is their house and they are like adults and they're trying their best to conceal it from you. So I don't really see a problem with that, but I'm going to see what other people are saying and see, because especially like asking them to not do that would be so, I mean, for me that would be awkward. I would never be able to do that. I would never be, I'm not good with confrontation about that kind of stuff. So honestly, the fact that she's thinking of saying something to them, I'm kind of like proud of her, because I could never. So the consensus is everybody tells her to not under any circumstance say anything. And then comments by OP that have been downvoted by most people, I truly feel weird about them doing it with me in the house. I'm shocked so many people don't care, but I'm working. You don't think it's disrespectful to F while someone's taking care of your kids under your roof? It's making me uncomfortable. They both go to the bedroom and come out messy hair and smiley. It makes me feel weird. I don't know though. Like they go into their bedroom and then they come out with messy hair and smiling. Like that doesn't necessarily mean that they're having sex. And even if they are, like, I get feeling uncomfortable about it, because it would make me feel uncomfortable as well if I thought that someone was doing that. But like, it's not super obvious to you. I would understand it 100%. I'm going to say this again, that I would understand 100% if it was like they're literally like making moaning noises and being crazy in there. But that's not the case. It's like anything could have happened and they're in the privacy of their own bedroom. They're not like leaving their door open being like, hey girl, come on in, join the party. Okay, someone said, I'm going to read the rest of her comments that everyone is downvoting. The baby is napping at this time usually. I feel it's very awkward. She comes down after having sex with her husband. He goes back to his work office. I know what they're doing. It's just weird. And then she comes down and asks what I want for lunch. It's very awkward. And she said, I think it's weird for adults to be having sex every day or every other day. There's other ways to support a relationship. What? That is crazy, girl. That is crazy. Not that there's other ways to support a relationship. Okay, now you're making it like a thing about what you think they should do in their relationship, in their sexual relationship. And that is weird, girl. Like, please, they can do as they please. They could do it 5 times a day if they want. Also, not to say that this is the only reason you should be having sex with your partner, because you can do it for any reason you please. But what if they're also trying to have another baby? I mean, that's not out of the question. But regardless, it doesn't really matter the reason that they want to, because girl, that's none of your business. They can do it as many times as they want. I mean, she said, this isn't rage bait. This is how I feel. It makes me extremely uncomfortable. If this was once in a while, okay, whatever. But why do they need to F all the time? I'm sure. See, well, the thing is that I'm assuming they're working adults. They probably don't get much alone time. They probably have this time and they don't have to like watch their baby because they have the nanny. So they're like, oh, let's take this opportunity because we don't really have other time to do this. And I don't really know. So you'd be okay with people effing in your workplace? Why do they need to do it all the time, nearly every day? I would get it if it was sometimes, but this is crazy. Okay, well, that's different. If people are effing in your workplace, yes, I think that I would have a problem with that. If I was at my corporate job and people were going to the bathroom and banging it out in there, Yeah, I would definitely have an issue with that. But this is such a different scenario. Like, you're a nanny, you're in their house. Also, the bedroom is like upstairs. It's not even like it's right down the hall. She said, it's like a roommate who just had sex trying to move on from the situation. It's awkward. Maybe I need to find another way to tell her to give it an hour or so. It feels weird knowing the sudden mood booster was from getting laid. Oh my God. Well, I mean, it sounds like you were very, very set in your ways and what you're thinking. You think it's like the amount of times she's commented that it's weird and she doesn't like knowing that the mood boosters from getting laid and stuff is actually insane. I've skipped so many of them because they all basically say the same thing. She also said, I'm 28 years old and have been a nanny for a decade, because I'm sure people are like, are you literally like 12 or something? Is that why you feel uncomfortable? Like, are you just like a young girl and you find it uncomfortable? Because I get it. But no, she's a full-blown adult 28-year-old and has been a nanny for a decade. Okay, this is an update and it's 2 days later. That Friday morning, I told my MB I wanted to talk during the baby's nap, and she said, okay. I brought up how uncomfortable I felt about what I thought was going on and mentioned how I could sometimes hear or notice things that made me think that they were having sex while I was there. I told her it made me uncomfortable, and that's when everything went downhill. She was very direct with me. She said my only job was to take care of the baby, not to worry about what she and her husband were doing. She told me if I had downtime, I could watch TV or read a book. I told her it just seemed weird that she would come out with messy hair or different clothes. And she explained that sometimes they do workout videos in their room. Sometimes it's sex, sometimes it's cuddling, and sometimes they're just napping. She said whatever happens in her bedroom is none of my business. After that, things got really quiet. She wasn't mean, but I could tell she was uncomfortable and hurt. Then she told me I could go home for the day, and I just knew that meant that I was done. Later, she texted saying they were going to move in another direction, and that was it. I feel horrible. I know I crossed a boundary, and I regret bringing it up so much. I miss them terribly. The money was amazing. My MB was so kind, and their baby was absolutely perfect. I really wish I could fix this and somehow get my job back. How do I get my job back? Girl, we told you. Well, not me, but all these people were telling you, like, please don't say anything. It's none of your business. It's nothing. I can't believe she actually went against every single person's advice and told and asked them that. And this woman's response is completely valid. I would do the same exact thing. That's so weird. Like, please. The consensus says everybody groans. And then these are more comments by OP that are downvoted. She said, because I did get some comments saying people would be uncomfortable too. My friends told me to talk to them about it and maybe we could figure it out, as my work environment should feel comfortable to me. I regret not listening to everyone on here. I regret it. I'm hoping they can forgive me, but everything else pays like $22 to $23 an hour. They were giving me $32 and so nice. I'm realizing that I messed up. And then she said, you don't think it's worth a try? They're Christian and believe in God. Christians believe in forgiveness. What? This girl does not sound like a 28-year-old. I need to get my job back to pay for my bills, and I miss my nanny kid and MB. They were the best. I'm getting messages saying I should file a police report for sexual harassment in the workplace. Editors know everybody tells her again to not do this under any circumstances. I'm actually shook beyond belief right now. I'm so shook. Everyone's like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. She's like, I'm gonna do it. Don't do it. I'm gonna do it. I did it. Oh no, girl, please. And yeah, $32 is an extremely well-paying job, especially for a nanny. That is such a well-paying job, and everything, you loved this job so much. That was like the one thing that was bothering you. I don't know why that was bothering her so much, not even knowing for sure if that was like the case. The top comment says, OP, what will happen if I shoot myself in the foot? Every single commenter. It will hurt. OP, I shot myself in the foot and it hurt. How do I unshoot my foot? Every single commenter. You can't. OP, I have some ideas about how to unshoot myself. Sometimes you can't help people. They're dead set on going on a learning journey and there's nothing you can do about it. So real. Because you know this girl, everyone, basically every single person in the comments was saying, don't do it. This is like, I don't know why you feel this way. She was arguing with everyone in the comments. 90% of the comments were saying, don't do it. Like, please don't bring it up. And she did it anyways because she definitely was looking for the comments that were agreeing with her just to feed her and be like, okay, I should. Because some people really go looking for advice, and sometimes people really go looking for validation in what they feel and not actually like open to anyone else's opinion. And honestly, I feel like everyone does that sometimes. Like sometimes some people just want validation in the way that they feel, and they want someone to validate them, and that's definitely what this girl was looking for. Someone said it doesn't even sound like she's learning. Absolutely not. She still doesn't see anything wrong with what she did. She just regrets that she doesn't have the plum job anymore. Does anyone else think it's super weird how obsessed she is with this couple having sex behind closed doors in their own home? The mom was super direct about how what goes on behind closed doors is none of her business as an employee, and the OP just continues hitting that nail like she has every right to. Several years ago, I had offered my homeless sister a spare room in our home. My husband and I often had sex on his day off. We're not loud or anything. She caught me in my long bathrobe going to my own refrigerator to get a bottle of water and stopped me to talk about how uncomfortable she was knowing that we're having sex in the middle of the day. I told her that if this is even on her radar, maybe living with others isn't the right decision for her. She immediately started apologizing, but it was too late. Her entitlement was out of the bag. That is crazy, actually. That's wild. Because, like, it's one thing to be like, for instance, for an example, my old roommate, I used to live with 3 people. So we had a 4-bedroom, and I was one of the roommates, obviously. And then we had 3 other girls living with us. And one of the girls was always having her boyfriend over, which became a problem. But not only was that a problem, they were midday, like having sex when everyone was home very loudly. Like my roommate was like making pornography noises, and on like no shade, obviously be as loud as you want, but probably not when you have roommates in the middle of the day when you know that people are home. I mean, I just think that like I found it uncomfortable because I'd literally be in the kitchen eating lunch and I would hear loud moaning, the slapping noises, the bed like banging against the wall. And I was just like, okay, vibes, like, love that for you. We weren't like really friends at all. She wasn't friends with like really any of us in the house. She really kept to herself and was just with her boyfriend pretty much all the time. So it was like this random girl I didn't really know. She just like went to my school having sex, like basically right in my ear. And I was just like, oh no, I don't like this. I mean, obviously I never said anything like, hey, will you stop having sex? But I definitely didn't love it. And I definitely would try to go hide in my room when that was happening because I didn't want to hear it. So I would understand if that was like the case and that was what was happening. And that would be like, okay, that's a reason for you to be like, hey, do you just mind, I don't know, being just a little bit quieter, because I can hear it and it is a little awkward. But everything that she was explaining did not give her a valid right to be asking this person in their own home to not be sleeping with her husband. And then also the judgment of like, I just can't believe, like, I keep thinking back to her saying, why do they need to do it so often? There's other ways to like have a relationship or whatever. And it's like, what? That is crazy that she said that. Just because you don't want that in your relationship doesn't mean that other people aren't going to want, like, what? No, that was actually mind-blowing to me. This person said, OP was like, this is my working environment. I should be comfortable in my work environment. Yes, but your working environment happens to be someone else's home. Exactly. And the way that she was trying to be like, my working environment, would you want someone having sex in your working environment? Like, it's actually so different because your working environment is literally someone's house and you're asking other people who work in like actual like corporate environments. So like, it's definitely a big difference. Okay, we are going to move on to the advice/confession segment of this episode. And if you are ever wanting to ask for advice or leave a confession and you want to call and leave a voicemail, the number for that is 561-264-7017. And there's also a Google form in the link in the description that you can fill out if you are ever inclined. This is an advice question, and it says, I, female 20, don't know what to do, so I'm writing you this. 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety disorder, while also being bullied in school. I used to have emotional outbursts at home due to panic and stress and would cause everybody in my family emotional hurt. I grew up going to therapy and recently discovered that I have borderline personality disorder, which is a mental illness that will stay with you forever. Right now, I am 2 years out of school, tried working, ended up disassociating and crying at any criticism I got. I stopped working and tried studying, but I couldn't handle it due to my depression. A few weeks ago, I was in a psychiatric hospital for 6 weeks, trying to work on my emotions and borderline. Sorry for the long intro, but I feel like this is information that's important for my question. I don't feel ready to work and can't even care for myself at this point. It's too much work for me to eat every day and shower, drink enough, clean my room, do laundry, keep up with my friends and boyfriend. I feel like I'm still a child when I see other people from my past school getting their own apartment, working, having their driver's license, and just living their life, while I'm in bed trying to find a routine for me so I don't end up crying myself to sleep every night. I feel useless and can't even get to my driver's lessons. My theory test, if that's what it's called in English, I don't know, will expire in a few months if I don't do the lessons, but I just can't. I had a panic attack in the car last time and disassociated while driving. Jamie, I'm at my breaking point and I feel like my whole life is wasted. What should I do? Sorry for ranting. I love you. Okay. I love you. And I can only imagine how hard what you're going through is, but I just first want to let you know that your whole life is not wasted. Trust me when I say your whole life is not wasted. Like, I understand that's a valid feeling to feel, and I understand completely because of what you're going through. That is a lot to go through. This is this is a very heavy situation to go through. Also I can kind of relate and empathize with you. I also have depression and anxiety, and it's not as severe, but I am diagnosed. I've been diagnosed since I was like 15, maybe even younger. I don't even know how old I was in sophomore year of high school, and my sister also has borderline personality disorder. So I grew up with her in my life, very, very much in my life, and was around someone with borderline personality. So I also can understand, from your family's point of view, and also a little bit from your point of view, but obviously not something that I've personally dealt with myself. So I can understand that that's a really hard diagnosis to deal with as well. I'm not a therapist, obviously, but I do want to let you know that, it's all very valid, and I can understand that it's so hard. I just think it's a lot easier said than done, but I would try not to compare yourself with other people because everyone has different life paths and everyone's lives are so different, and not everyone has struggles like this or to this degree that can put roadblocks in their lives and make it take a little longer for certain things to happen. So that's one thing that I would definitely try to focus on, is try focusing a little bit more on your day-to-day and not on everyone else and where everyone else is in their life and compare yourselves to them, because that's just not going to be productive. And it's okay to not be where they are in, their lives. It's okay to be where you are in your life and to be figuring it out. And you're trying so hard. And that's really the biggest thing that matters, is that you're putting in so much effort to get there and you're very self-aware. I'm not a professional, so I definitely would keep seeking professional help and psychiatric help. I know you were in the psychiatric hospital for 6 weeks. That's great that you were working on your emotions and you were there to try to feel better. I think the biggest thing that you could do is really focus on yourself, and hopefully along the way of focusing on yourself, your friends and your boyfriend can understand that maybe. And I don't want to be like break up with your boyfriend, I don't know, you might want to have a conversation with your boyfriend of like, hey, I'm really going through a lot right now, and I don't know if I can fully give you the relationship that you want to be in. And I just want to let you know that it's okay to not feel ready to be at a certain point that you think that you should be in your life. Everyone's life path is different. Everyone goes through different scenarios in their lives, and some people are set up for success a lot more than others, and some people are set up to take a little bit longer than other people, and that's okay. You're doing what you can, and I think just keep doing what you're doing and trying to work through your mental health and trying to do something every day to just get a little bit better and feel a little bit better. Keep going to a therapist, going to doctors, and getting as much mental health help as you need and psychiatric help as you need. That's going to be the biggest thing that is going to help. And I wish I could offer you way better, like, life-changing advice that would really like up and change everything for you, because I only want the best for you, and I love you, and I hope that everything just starts to get a little bit better every day. I understand it can feel so hopeless, and you're not useless. It's okay to be where you are, and you're so young, and even if you weren't, it's still okay, because this is your mental health. Your mental health is so important. Your health is so important. Physical health is so important. And sometimes we have to, put a pause on things and try to work things out to end up having long-term success. And that's just what you're doing. So I would just take everything one day at a time, and it's okay if you don't hit every single goal that you feel like you should be hitting at your age or whatever that may be. But I hope that helps. I'm sure that other people will have similar situations that they could offer advice in the comments. So if you are someone that has ever been through something similar to this, or you have advice that you could offer, that would be amazing in the comments. And I feel like it's always great when people who have gone through similar situations comment, because it helps so much. I really feel like it does help so much, and I love to like create a safe place for people to hear advice from other people that maybe have gone through the same things. But I love you so much, and I know that life is hard. Mental health is hard. A lot of stuff can be hard. Definitely harder for others than some people. But I love you so much, and I love you guys so much. And that is the end of this episode. And let me know in the comments what you thought about the stories that we talked about today, as always. And then, as always, please leave some advice for the advice question if you have anything that you think is valuable. Also, always be kind, and remember that, these are real people with real feelings, and they may see your comments. So, I love you, and I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye!
Storytime Society is now available on all listening platforms. If you are on any of those listening platforms, I would really appreciate it if you rated me 5 stars. Thanks for all the support.
Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.